Welcome into another edition of the Sun Devil Source 2-Minute Drill. I'm your host, Mason Kern, joined by site publisher Chris Cartman, and we just attended our first ASU practice and weekly press conference after a game this season. And Chris, there were a lot of standouts by Herm Edwards and Rob Likens for the young offensive newcomers. What do they say about them?
Yeah, they thought that Jaden Daniels actually played quite well for his first game. There were some things they wanted cleaned up as far as where he's located in the pocket. Some of the sacks maybe were more on him vacating or not being where he needed to be with his landmarks. They thought that Donovan West played excellent at center, forced into action for Cade Cody after he suffered a broken foot in the days leading up to that game. In fact, Rob Likens actually said he's going to be an all-league player down the road, so he's an athletic player that's going to grow into that role. Also highlighted the play of Ricky Pearsall as a freshman wide receiver and the speed of Jordan Curley as a wide receiver. So they like what those guys look like they're going to be in their careers, but of course there's going to be some freshman moments still to follow.
Right, yeah, it was an impressive performance by a lot of those young newcomers, and also they unveiled their Mandrake Player of the Week in practice this week. This week it's Kalen Curse-Thomas wearing the black uniform with the Mandrake nameplate and the M on the front. What does that kind of signify?
Well, they're going to take the Mandrake thing for all it's worth, right, Mason? Kalen Curse-Thomas also had a really good first game. We knew that this was probably trending this way because Antonio Pierce, the linebackers coach, said in the spring that he was their best performer, that he had penciled him in as a starter even though he didn't start last season. And in the opener, he had 3.5 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks. He also forced a fumble on the quarterback that ASU recovered. So that's a pretty safe pick for Player of the Week. And there's only going to be one of these every week. And the players were apparently like all jockeying for who's going to be the next person to win that award. I think everybody wants the Mandrake. And also it came with one of those multicolor visors that guys like showing off too.
Right, yeah, it's definitely kind of a unique look. They're really going for all it's worth this year. And there were also some defensive standouts, especially for the newcomers in the last game against Kent State. What did coaches say about them?
Yeah, they're trending toward having an embarrassment of riches in their secondary. And Jack Jones played more than probably coaches expected in his first game at corner and looked really good. But then you also have some freshmen that are going to be able to play bigger roles if they want, especially Willie Hartz and Kewan Markham. Both of those guys at the Ranger safety positions. I think they went from maybe 10 to 13 reps, and that might end up being 25 reps from what we're hearing in this next game. Really talented, and Herm Edwards said after the press conference, or during it I should say, that those guys eventually are going to be able to run the defense, make checks and audibles, they'll understand and adjust on the fly. They love what they're building with this young secondary, and you know, since Herm Edwards is a defensive back, that's something that makes him really happy.
Yeah, for sure, and we'll see how those guys perform, how the whole team performs when ASU takes on Sacramento State this Friday in their next game. But for site publisher Chris Cartman, I'm your host Mason Kern saying so long and thank you for tuning in.